This is going to be a rant, a black nerd rant, because I don't know. I just got some stuff to say to get off my chest. I had a conversation today with a couple of friends, and I've had conversations with a lot of you people about certain things in the blurred space, and I kind of want to address a few of those things. The first thing I want to address is the what we call ourselves, the whole blerd versus being a black nerd versus just being called a nerd. And I understand all sides of it. I understand all sides of that argument, but I just want to talk about it a little bit, like blurred and black nerd versus just being called a nerd. I've seen some people say, "Hey, why do we have to keep putting our blackness into it? Why do we have to keep promoting our blackness in the sense that we have to make it aware that we're black when the whole point of the movement is to be accepted within the greater culture, greater community, and just be considered nerds because for the longest time we were never considered nerds, which is where the whole black nerd and blerd thing comes into play because we were segregated in some lack of a better word. We were separated from the regular nerd community and we had to create our own space. So you got nerds, black nerds becoming blerd and identifying as that, like myself. I identify as a blerd. With that being said, I was approached by a couple of friends, and this has been over the course of me being a content creator. This isn't just like today, about the name of what I call my business, blerdography, which that's a whole separate story by itself. But the point they were bringing up is, especially about the current content that I'm making, is why am I being so black focused in the nerd space when I should be more generalized so I can appeal to a broader audience. And to that, I kind of had to say, I didn't really have anything to say other than the plan was to always appeal to a broader audience, but to also be black about it. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I'm black. I'm not anything else. So I want to promote me being a black nerd in the nerd space and bring whoever wants to come along on this journey, not just POC people, not just black people, not just white people, not just Asians or anybody who just finds this content interesting. Because I definitely have gone out my way to be inclusive in my content and the things that I talk about. You can check on my YouTube channel. I have interviews with any and everybody that'll have me, not just particularly certain people. But I also want to bring up the blerd community because it's a growing community. It's getting larger and larger every day. And I like the message that the community portrays of acceptance, that everybody is accepted. Everybody is a nerd. Everybody can do cosplay and be a comic book artist and be a novelist and a photographer, a videographer, or whatever it is you want to be. The stigma of black people don't do this and black people don't do that, the blerd community is actively trying to erase that out of existence, and I really like that. I really like that. Also, I just want to say this, just fun fact. POC cosplayers and black cosplayers are amazing, and they all rock. Like, one of the reasons why I got into cosplay photography specifically and strongly fell in love with it was because while learning photography and going to cons, I constantly heard other cosplayers telling black cosplayers you can't cosplay this because that character is not that dark, or the character you're cosplaying is an Asian character and only white people can cosplay that character. And I was like, that none of that makes sense. Like, cosplay is supposed to be for everybody. Like, if you got money and you have a craft or a skill to create costumes, do whatever you want with those things. If you want to dress up and be Storm and you're middle-aged white guy, go for it. If you want to be Superman, who is the all-American beacon of the Great White Hope, and your skin color doesn't reflect that, go for it. Because there's obviously something there that you see in that character that you like. There's something about that character that you like. If you like that character, if you respect that character, you should go for it. As long as you be respectful about it. That's all. That's all it has to be. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So going back to the whole blerd versus black nerd thing, I'm a nerd. I am a nerd, but I am also black. Many of you are nerds. Matter of fact, all of you who are watching this are probably nerds in some greater scheme of things. And a lot of you who are nerds also identify as other things. I'm not saying you should go make different sub nerd groups or whatever. All I'm saying is be happy with who you are and do what you want. Do what makes you happy first. Stop trying to listen to other people. And maybe this is my advice I need to be listening to myself, because this is part of my biggest problem. I'm always trying to listen to other people and appease other people. No, I want to create the content I want to create, and I want to tell the stories I want to tell, and I want to interview the people I want to interview. If I find you interesting, I don't care what your well, I'm not gonna say I don't care what your background is, because I do, but like, my qualifications of if you're somebody who I want to associate with are goals as this, and I've said this before, and it does depend on how you answer these questions. Who's your favorite Power Ranger? What X-Men do you most identify with? And something about like anime or something. I can't remember what the third question was, but it was a like disqualifying question anyway. But depending on how you answer like my basic questions determines if you're somebody I want to be interested in. I don't care about anything else about you as long as you can answer those questions. If you can't answer those questions, then we have nothing else to talk about, and I'll move on. That's it. But anyway, going back to this rant, this black nerd rant. I love being a black nerd. I love it. And I don't want to give that up because some people within the same community feel like it's alienating them by representing the blackness and downplaying the nerdiness. I don't think I'm downplaying the nerdiness, but that's kind of what I heard. And then on the other stint with me being general with my content or whatever, I just started really kind of making more specific blerd related content. Blerd question of the day, and just talking about more blerd things and things that personally affect me and other people who I know within this community and space. But I also talk about other stuff too. I'm not just generalizing things. It's really just kind of, this is what I can create at the time, and this is what I think is interesting. But this was just meant to be a rant. I'm sorry, I was ranting. It was just been on my mind. Like, the one thing I don't like within the blerd space is the divisiveness of it and how, I don't want to say manipulative people can be, but some people just want to make waves because they just used to fight. They're just used to fighting. I used to kind of be one of those people. I've like chilled out a lot over the last couple of years with that. I kind of just let the waves go as they go. And try not to make any waves myself. I'm just trying to enjoy this journey I'm on, and like, I'm learning a lot of stuff about myself. Like, I'm trying to get over my phobias and fears of certain things that I've had that were instilled in me by the people around me in my environment, not necessarily because of my own thought processes. But yeah, that was it. Just some random long 10-minute rant. I don't know where I was going with it. I hope it makes sense.